Grief is a terrible thing. Most of us have unfortunately experienced it firsthand and are fully aware of how difficult of a period it is to go through. But video games are good. They bring us joy in times of despair. They bring us happiness just when we need it most. So what happens when you combine the two and make a game about grief? I've spent many videos praising Spiritfarer for how it tackled the issue of accepting death. But Gris does it differently. Gris tells the individual tale of one girl and her quest to overcome her grief. And in this video, I'm going to tell you how. So join me as we explore Gris and the 5 stages of grief. Just like all great storytellers, I'm going to keep you in suspense. So before talking about the 5 stages specifically, I'm going to talk about the game, as I feel it's important to distinguish how the medium of video games helps in telling this story. We are so much more connected to this story because of the interactivity that comes alongside the medium. We feel every step, we feel every jump, we feel Gris become stronger because we are experiencing all of these things with her. There's also the aspect of how you can't fail in Gris. There's no game over screen, no respawning, you just get up and you go again, which is in keeping with the overall message of the game, as we'll get into later. Even the bosses, and I use that term extremely loosely, are sequences that you can't fail. If the bird knocks you back, you dust yourself off and you go again. If the eel bites you, you roll forward and you go again. The key here is that no matter the challenge, no matter how tricky life gets, especially during a grieving period, there's always going to be a way forward. You can always keep going. Then we have other components such as the soundtrack. Oh my goodness, the soundtrack. It's incredible. Whoever was in charge of sorting out the soundtrack for this game needs a massive amount of credit, because it never once fails to have the desired impact. Whenever it wants you to feel accomplished as you unlock a new colour. Or if it wants you to feel anxious as the sandstorm charges in. It gets you, regardless. Then there's the sheer beauty of the art style. The hand-drawn aesthetic means that pretty much every single frame is screenshot worthy. Seriously, you could have a new desktop background every day with this game. It's stunning. I found it so difficult to choose one for the thumbnail because they're all just so gorgeous, but I feel like I made the right decision. Then there's the gameplay itself, which isn't quite as tight as other 2D platformers. It's much more floaty, but I feel like it works. It emits a transient vibe and filters into the dreamlike state of the game. There are puzzles as well that are pretty easy, but you know, who cares. But now, the juicy bit. Gris is ultimately a game about grief. About being able to find purpose in a world that feels as though it has nothing left to give you. Each level represents a new stage of the grieving process. If we were to follow the Kubler-Ross model, if that's how you pronounce it, which we are. So let's of course start with denial. As soon as the game starts, you go left and see the crumbled remains of the statue, a symbol for Gris' mother. Your instincts tell you to go to the right. When experiencing grief, you have to keep going forward. We all know this, but when it happens to you, you just can't do it. Gris wants to stay with the statue and can't accept that she's gone. Your character will fall to her knees and remain there for a few silent seconds, mourning the loss of her mother. She can't believe she's gone. Then we have the frustrating sandstorm, and grief can sometimes feel like walking through a sandstorm. You know you have to keep going. You have to persevere through the storm, but it feels like life is trying to prevent you from doing so. Denial. You get to a room devoid of colour, where there are a few statues that can be destroyed. At this stage of the grieving process, Gris feels hopeless. She feels lost in the darkness with no way of escalating back to the surface. Yet destroying all of the statues sends her back to the top, if only for a brief period, breaking something gave her release and immediate satisfaction. The world destroyed something that mattered to her, and she feels that she has to exact revenge, as if destroying part of the world would help her cope. Anger. You use your destructive ability, the same ability that you used to cause destruction in the previous level, to knock apples from trees and help your new forest friend. Gris is channeling her anger into something positive. Your friend leaves you and the world turns red. The platforms start disappearing sporadically. This represents the uncertainty. Did I help the forest friend for no reason? Did it use me? Has someone else left me? The world turns red, the anger seeps in, but then the forest friend gives you the final star to progress. It was worth it. There is good to come from helping people. You also unlock double jump, which brings with it increased mobility. You can move more freely. Grief is becoming easier. Bargaining. You're now in a high place. Gris is making progress in her grief and is now sky high. But there's a setback. Mirroring actual grief, you can take what feels like a small step forward before a seemingly monumental challenge knocks you 2 steps back. Many small birds arrive and symbolise the things that are getting you down. Individually, they pose no problem to you. Grouped together, they morph into a problem. The big bird. Memories of a lost one will return, and on their own, they're manageable, sometimes even quite nice. When they attack you all at once, it becomes overwhelming and it's harder to move forward, with each shriek of the bird sending you flailing backwards. You unlock blue, which symbolises water and new life. Water is essential in keeping life living, and you're open to the possibility now that maybe, just maybe, life like this is worth living. You need to swim to the bottom of the ocean. The symbolism here is pretty explicit, but it invokes the idea that in order to move past the sadness, in order to come to terms with your loss, you need to go to the darkest depths of your mind and come face to face with the demons that won't let you move on. It's time to get rid of the darkness and strive towards the light. The dark thoughts attack you in the form of the eel, but you're stronger now. You can swim away from the creature, and eventually, the light of the turtle, a symbol of hope, saves you from the eel and you become free of the darkness. Depression. The final level is gorgeous. Well, the whole game is gorgeous, but the final level in particular takes it to another level, because you've unlocked all of the colours. Gris can finally see the world for what it is, the magic and beauty that still remains, despite her loss. Finally, she regains her ability to sing, and when she does, even more colours splash into the world. This serves as a reminder that perspective is important. The world doesn't physically change just because Gris can sing. It changes because she's finally coming to terms with her loss, and is regaining her ability to see the world as it is. Before you can finish the game and climb the bridge of light, you need to face the darkness once more. Once you emerge from the darkness again, you find the statue of your mother laid to rest. Once you sing, you finally manage to complete your journey and come to terms with your loss. Instead of seeing memories of her mother as a dark place of despair, she uses those memories as a beacon of joy instead. Acceptance. Gris is simply an excellent game. There wasn't a moment where I was playing where I thought I wasn't enjoying myself. If you want to just relax and play a video game, you've got an accessible platformer with easy puzzles and a beautiful art style to go with it, then you can just do that. But if you want to look deeper into the meaning of the game and explore the process of grief which acts as a cornerstone for the entire experience, then you'll experience one of the most moving, thought-provoking games of the last few years. And that is how Gris explores the 5 stages of grief. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, then please consider leaving a like, as it would be greatly appreciated. And if you want to see more content from me, then make sure to subscribe, because I upload videos just like this one every single Friday. Have a nice day and goodbye.